Okaeri Nasai. Welcome back. For the ones of you who don't know me, I'm Lucie and I'm a certified sake sommelier. Now, for the last few weeks, we've been kind of drifting away from the topic of sake more and more, and I would kind of like to get back on topic. And today I would like to touch upon the flavor of sake and kind of what creates it and what our expectations might be. So I probably have told you this before, but before I started drinking sake or studying sake at all, I kind of thought it would work like wine, like there would be different types of rice and they would taste differently, and then there would be a little bit of the terroir affecting that as well. You would have the minerality or whatever, and then you'd have your production and your storage and that kind of stuff. And oh boy, was I wrong. Sake is very different from that. You can't exactly press juice out of a rice grain, which means you literally have to add tons and tons of water to your sake during the entire production. And of course, this water is going to have an impact on the final product. So in sake, the production itself is extremely decisive for the flavors and aromas that will develop in the sake. You start by deciding on what rice you're going to use, obviously. But it's not like, I'm going to get this Yamada Nishiki, so I will get a Yamada Nishiki sake. It's more like, I will get this Yamada Nishiki so I can polish it to 45% and use this and this yeast, so I will go get this and this flavor at the end of my production. It's more that kind of process. So you choose your rice, you polish it to whatever grade you want to, and you prepare your koji. And already there, the koji can also impact the flavor of sake quite significantly. Normally in sake, you use yellow koji, which is really low in acidity. But there have been experiments with white and black koji, which has much higher levels of acid and adds so much to the structure of sake. So already there, you can make a huge impact on your sake. Then you have your shubo, your fermentation starter. Do you use one of the traditional ones that develop higher acidity, or do you use the more modern method, the sokujo method, that has lower acidity? That also impacts the fermentation. And in the process of shubo, you also decide what yeast you are going to use. And yeast is one of the most deciding factors for flavors and aromas of sake. Yeast is incredibly important. The flavors don't change only based on what yeast you choose to use, but also on how you decide to treat it during the fermentation. If you starve it, it will develop different flavors than if you actually give it a lot of sugar and has abundance of nutrition. I mean, we people also develop differently, depending on whether we starve ourselves or if we, eat tons of chocolate every day. So usually, do you use very similar yeasts or same yeasts for the ginjo, daiginjo sakes? There's yeast number 9 or 10. You really don't have to remember those numbers. Sometimes producers decide to use yeasts that are specific for a brewery or for an area. And it's always extremely interesting to find those. So if you do that, try them. We will actually be drinking a sake made with a area-specific yeast on Thursday, so don't miss that one. So, does this mean all daiginjos polished to 45% made with Yamada Nishiki and same yeast are going to taste the same? Absolutely not. But when you see a bottle of one, you might have expectations on what it's going to taste like. The characteristics of it will probably be quite similar. You can look for your bubblegum or your pineapple. It's kind of like when you buy a bottle of Riesling, you have expectations. There will be differences, but there will also be a lot of similarities. It's the same with a bottle of Kimoto. It's the same with, kosher. You will have expectations on flavor based on production. So, yeast. Extremely important in sake production, adds a lot of flavor. It's always fun to find a product that is different, made in a different way, with a different yeast or something else has been done with it. So, do dare to experiment. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to press the subscribe button down there. Don't forget to like my video, and I'll see you next time. Let's get some of this.